choosing which career path that I wanted to go on. So I played hockey and sports when I grew up, so it was either I wanted to be on the women's Olympic hockey team or to do fashion. And I actually had a sports injury that kind of led me into the path of fashion, which was a great path. I'm very creative. I love fashion, so I took that path. School was very tough. It was a lot of long hours, a lot of staying up all night, and in college you're not eating right. You're eating macaroni and cheese, microwavable food, and so my health kind of started to decline. And it continued to happen after school too. In the industry, I was showing at Fashion Week, I was doing photo shoots, I was staying up all night. Now I know I was tanking my adrenals, my nervous system was shot, and my health was just declining. I continued to go to the doctor. They, said my labs were good, I looked healthy. They couldn't say that, they said I was healthy. I didn't feel healthy. I felt not 100% in my body. I could feel pain that started in my feet, that went to my knees, that went to my hips, that went to my back, that went to my entire body. And again, they just said, labs look good, you're good. So they sent me away. But I continued to go back because I didn't know what else to do. We're taught that the doctor has all the answers. And so finally, it was diagnosed as fibromyalgia, which is chronic pain. It was never really even told to me that it was inflammation or it was autoimmune disease. So for me, she had said, your prescription that I'm going to give you is an antidepressant for the rest of your life. And this was when I was in my mid-20s. And I said, this is not me, taking a pill for the rest of my life. And when she was giving me that prescription, it was also a high blood pressure prescription as well. And I said, I'm in my mid-20s, I grew up healthy, I play lots of sports, this is not going to be my life. So that's where my health journey started. And I started to seek out, traditional medicine, looking at Eastern medicine, looking at naturopathy, osteopathy, Chinese medicine, and just something different. And I felt like I got a little bit ahead, but I was still taking so many, not prescriptions, but supplements. Even though they were more natural, I just felt like I was still spending hundreds of dollars a month on supplements. And I was like, when is this ever gonna end? So eventually I saw on Instagram, I saw a lady who was posted up against a crystal that was larger than her. And I saw it on my Reel page and I was like, who is this lady? And I looked at her page and she was talking about detox and how detox can help really reset your body and repair and reverse disease. And I had no clue, I'd never heard of this concept before. I've heard of detox before, but I've only heard of it in those 7-day kits at the store, the Wild Rose or whatever it is. So this was a really new concept to me. And I started following her. She posted a lot about what her clients were doing, what they were removing from their bodies when they go through detox. So I signed up for her program. I did a 4-month detox with her. 1 month was transitioning the diet to a raw vegan diet, and 3 months was all fruit. I had a lot of success. I, removed a lot of pain from my body and a lot of stuff from my body, a lot of waste. And after that, I still felt the pain in my body. And when I had talked to her, she had said, for however long you were sick for, if you've been sick for 10 years, 13 years, that's how much detox work you need to do in months. So 10 months of getting that waste out. And so I sought out my next detox practitioner. And she was more focused on the greens. So it was a lot of fruit, a lot of raw food, but also the greens, which I feel like was missing from the first practitioner. So the greens of microgreens, spirulina, kamutts, barley wheatgrass, having a pound of greens every day, that really helps support mineralization function in the body. So after I did my second detox, again, another 4-month deep dive of cleansing my body, I found Regenerative Health. And there's a course based out of the States that's an online course, and it was all about learning about what's happening in the body, why we get sick, why we get disease in the body, whatever it is, if it's cancer, if it's diabetes, even if it's acne or rosacea or skin issues, it's all because we have waste getting stuck in our body. And that can be from our environment, our food, toxins, all of that stuff. We just need to get it out. So detox was really helpful for me and Regenerative Health. So I just want to talk to you about nutrition in kind of a different way that maybe Western medicine doesn't really talk to us about it, or Western nutritionists. So yeah. Let's see a show of hands of people who have felt that they have felt off in their body and haven't gotten any answers from any doctors. See, it's very common, and it really shouldn't be. If we look into nature and we look at animals, animals in nature aren't full of disease, and we are. And so we need to really, take a step back and really look at our habits, our eating habits, our environment, and start to make the changes so that we don't feel like that. So we can start off with the 4 basic processes of the human body. So digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination. And so when we have all of these successfully working in our body, then we're not storing onto any waste. And waste can also be emotional waste. So digestion, we're breaking down all of our food into building blocks for us to utilize. And then absorption is absorbing those building blocks into our bloodstream. And then from there, we have to utilize that. So our liver is really important in utilizing it and keeping it for later, or using it right then and there. And elimination. So we're eliminating waste from cellular waste every day, from the food that we're putting into our bodies. We're eliminating it through our colon, through our kidneys, through our lungs, through our skin. So we need to be making sure that those elimination pathways are open. So gut health 101. So imagine a garden that has the most nutrient-dense soil. And you could imagine that the fruit and the vegetables and the herbs that are growing from that garden are gonna be nutrient-dense, they're gonna be thriving. But when we have toxic soil, like if you had a toxic gut, you're gonna see that the garden is going to not survive and not thrive. So that's kind of like our gut microbiome. If it's not thriving, the rest of our body isn't going to be thriving. And so when they say that saying like, trust your gut, well, our gut, our intuition is directly tied to our gut. So if you have a gut that is not balanced or out of whack, then how can you really trust your gut? And so they say 95% of disease starts in the gut. So we really need to understand how powerful gut health is, and that it is really the base of any protocol that I ever do, is we need to clean out the gut so the rest of the body can function properly. And that's the same with a leaky gut. When they say, the term, oh, you have leaky gut, that also reflects in your boundaries. If you have weak boundaries, that also means you have weak gut lining. So it's all connected. And the gut-brain connection. So our brain sits right on top of our gut. And 90 to 95% of the serotonin in our gut is based in our gut, made in our small and large intestines. So if we're feeding ourselves junk food, fast food, how do we really think we're going to feel, emotionally? We're not going to feel too great. So we really have to think about how we're feeding our gut, how we're feeding ourselves, because that affects our emotions. So the chemistry of food. I don't know, has anyone heard of the chemistry of food and alkalinity versus acidity? Yeah? Okay, so a little bit, okay. So I wish I had my chart because it kind of really shows acid versus alkaline foods. So humans run at a 7.4 pH, and anytime we have something acidic, our body needs to buffer that acid to protect itself. Our body is always protecting itself. So if it is an acidic emotion, which is cortisol, it's acidic in our body. If it's food that is too acidic for us, if it's our environment, the toxins in our environment, if it's too acidic for us, we are constantly encapsulating that acid. And every body buffers differently. So there's calcium, cholesterol, fat, and water that we buffer with. If you see somebody, on the thinner side and they can eat junk food and not gain weight, they're most likely buffering with calcium. And they're actually borrowing the calcium from the bone and connective tissue to buffer that acid. So in the end, they're making their bone and connective tissue weak, and it could lead to osteoporosis, osteopenia, or other bone density problems. So just understanding acidity and alkalinity in food is really powerful. So I love this quote from Hippocrates, and it's, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." And I feel like it's very powerful because we can really turn to food as our medicine and take back that power and just eat properly. So what do we eat? Our bodies are 60% water, and they carry a charge. We are electromagnetic beings, and we need foods that charge us. So we need foods with hydration, and we need living foods. So when you look at your plate, does it look vibrant? If we're eating, if we look at this colorful display right here, if we're eating that, we're gonna feel like that. So making sure that we have food with vibrancy on our plates. Because these foods, when they're fresh like this, they are packed with antioxidants, antimicrobial properties, they have vitamins, minerals, and they have fiber. So all of these are very important. We need foods that digest easily. So if we look at digestion times in food, we look at watermelon. It digests in 15 minutes from absorption to utilization to elimination, 15 minutes. When we look at fruit, it's about 30 minutes. When we look at, say, meat, it's 2 days. So if we're eating meat, morning, lunch, dinner, it is compacting in our guts, and we're constantly working on digesting that meat so our energy is actually going somewhere else. So we want to be eating foods that make us feel light. We don't want to feel tired after we eat food. We want to feel like we are vibrant, we have energy. We want hydrating foods. So fruit juice, like fresh pressed fruit juice or juice from fruit is actually H3O2. So it's structured water. So we want to be eating fruit that has a lot of hydration in it, foods that have hydration in it. And foods that are high in nutrients and minerals. So instead of supplementing with isolated supplements, how can we get those supplements and minerals from our food? And there's such a fear around fruit. It's very, I guess in like the Western culture, it's like, oh, fruit is too sugary, it's so bad for you, stay away from fruit. I remember when I was first doing Chinese medicine, and I can't even remember having fruit in the day. I would wake up and I'd have eggs, and I'd have oatmeal, and then for lunch I'd maybe have salad and chicken, and dinner pasta or pizza, and I never had fruit. And until I learned about how powerful fruit is, I obviously changed my diet, but I look back and I'm like, wow, I wasn't eating any fruit. I wasn't eating like life source. So when we think about fruit and we think about the sugar, we actually break down everything into glucose. So whenever we're eating, fruit, pasta, whatever it is, we break it down into glucose. And the energy that we use in our body is made from ATP, which is glucose plus oxygen. So why don't we just go straight to the source and not have to go through a whole digestive process to really get our energy from our food? So a couple things that we can do today to start shifting into more high vibrational foods, more foods that give us energy, is just starting little by little. So focus on adding more fruit into your diet, more vegetables, ideally raw vegetables. Again, when we're cooking food, we're changing its pH, so it becomes more acidic to us. So that is why raw, vibrant foods actually give us so much energy. Number 2 is focus on an 80-20 approach. So it's never going to be perfect, but we can always, implement more fruit, more vegetables into our diet, foods that have fiber in it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What about boiled vegetables?
So the best is steamed. Steamed vegetables. It lightly cooks it. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's still kind of considered raw. Yeah. And number 3 is break your fast with fruit. So every morning, ideally you're waking up, having some hot lemon water. We think lemons are very acidic, but they're actually alkaline in the body. They leave an alkaline ash. So, and they're very astringent. They're really good at pulling all of the toxins out of our tissues. So starting your day off with some citrus, some even key lime. Key lime is the best. Key lime water, warm key lime water, and then go into fruit right after that. I start my day off with a big plate of watermelon. Yeah.
I do that too, but then it says you should eat salty first of the day.
And then, sorry?
It says that you should eat salty in the morning, no?
No.
Because of now your cortisol rise.
Yeah, there's so many differing opinions. So I guess find something that works for you.
Yeah, for me fruit works perfectly.
Yeah.
I just have to
if it works for you. So there's natural salts in fruit in our food. I mean, if you wanted something salty in the morning and wanted hydration, you could do celery juice. That has a lot of good natural salts to it. If you're worried about your adrenals or mineralization, you could do some salt underneath your tongue and have some water. Then you get your salt too. But, so break your fast with fruit. Switch to organic. So in the States, in Western, in Canada, probably in Europe too, they're all about spraying our food with glyphosate. And glyphosate is the Roundup pesticide that they're spraying on our food. And glyphosate plus gluten, so when they spray it on wheat, gluten, it makes a mucoid plaque in our digestive tract. So that's that black tar-like substance. And it actually glues down the microbiome, which are the small hair-like substances that are trying to absorb all of our nutrients. It actually glues it down. So when we hear people that have celiac or wheat or gluten intolerance, it actually sometimes is just a glyphosate intolerance. And there's too much mucoid plaque in your digestive tract that you can't absorb anything in. So there are mucoid plaque cleanses that you can do for a couple days, a week, and clear that gunk out. And it's crazy to see. But yeah, switching to organic is definitely a really good option. If you can't do all of your fruits and vegetables at once, look at the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. They have a list, and the Clean 15, you can eat that as conventional produce, and the Dirty Dozen definitely switch to organic. And that is all for today. There's so many, different diets out there, and new ones that are kind of coming out. But I think there's so much healing in fruit and in hydration. And when we look at, I look at a lot of raw vegans or fruitarians and people that are 50, 60, 70 years old, and they have no wrinkles, and it's because they have so much hydration in their body. So yeah, I think there's something to say about that. I mean, obviously, if you want to do your research, do your research. Yeah, okay. You look great. Fruitarian? Yeah, so I hope this just...
Are you fruitarian?
Oh,
okay.
There you go. The work works. So yeah, I hope this was informative, and I hope this empowers you to, take control of your health, because we don't want to get to a point where we have to go to the doctor to say, like, what can you do? And because we know what the outcome is. And so if we don't want to take a chemical drug, we can start using our food as a medicine. So if you want to go further in learning about regenerative health or any of my offerings, I have 2 offerings right now. So I do iridology, which is reading the iris. So the iris reflects all of the organs, glands, systems in your body, and you can see what the state of them are. So I can see, the colon health, I can see the nervous system health, I can see adrenals, the liver, the kidneys. So I have an iridology reading where I do an analysis. And then I also have a 30-day reset. So that's my new program. So it's all about changing the diet and becoming more alkaline in 30 days. And doing a small parasite cleanse in there as well. So just starting to get rid of that gunk. And that's all for me. Oh, you have a question?
I'm just curious. I'm alkaline too.
Okay.
So I connect with a lot of what you're saying.
Okay.
Just wondering, have you heard of Dr. Sadie?
Yes.
A lot of your stuff.
Yeah. So this is all, kind of based on Dr. Sadie, Dr. Morse. He's a herbalist. It was all about fruits. Yeah. So, but it's really kind of going back to Dr. Sadie. Yeah. You're welcome.
Just to throw that in, Dr. Sadie,
Yeah.
So you stay like alkaline based.
Ideally, yeah. And again, like 80-20. If I'm cleansing, I'm more strict on my diet, but every day I'm like, majority of the day I'm fruit or raw till maybe 4, maybe sometimes even dinner, but usually up till dinner time, and then have maybe a cooked meal. But
So I know you're discussing like your physical health, and we spoke a lot about the improvements in appearance, but in terms of mental health and keeping your gut healthy, I know you can't give like medical advice or anything like that to anybody, but the effects on your mental health as opposed to getting perhaps manufactured medication from doctors.
Yeah, for
How do you feel about that?
So your brain sits right on top of
Yeah.
your gut. So once you start clearing out the gut, you'll notice that you're feeling a lot better, you're feeling a lot lighter. It definitely affects your mental health. And we even look at more intense diagnoses as like ADHD, schizophrenia, all of that kind of stuff. Moving the waste from your body, you'll see that. So it's the stuff that gets stuck in us, and there's parasites out there, and it's very easy to get them. We all have them. We're supposed to have them, but in overgrowth is where we start to see disease. So parasites, viruses, bacteria, all of that stuff gets stuck in our body. So just getting that out. All of these things are connected.